Yes, welcome into Sports Bet Betting Insight today, Thursday, May 19th. Pauly and Teddy on SBRpicks.com. Big game breakdown coming up. We'll tackle game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals. 2 great baseball games to touch on. And the deep dive's going to be Ian Cameron, MLB analyst today. And the play of the day, we start with bad bets. That would be the Thunder. Golden State bench played well, supporting cast. Curry went bananas in the third quarter. This series is tied at 1 as the Warriors rout OKC, Teddy.
Yeah, they sure did. And, I think there was a lot of bad Thunder in game number 2. There was also a lot of good Warriors. But OKC, zero intensity to start the game and even less intensity to start the second half after, they took that lead with a couple minutes to go in the second quarter. And then the Warriors closed out the second quarter on an 8-0 run. And the third quarter was just blowout city. It felt like OKC was a little bit mentally and physically exhausted. They've been through a lot. Yeah. It's been a grueling stretch for them. There's a 3-day layoff between now and Game 3 on Sunday. Of course, the Cavs-Raptors will play twice during that span. But as you mentioned, the first time in the postseason that OKC's been out-rebounded. And from a supporting cast standpoint, Ibaka, Cantor, Waiters, Adams, they were all good in game number 1. None of them were good in game number 2.
What do you make of Bogut? The injury, he's not giving them anything out there.
No, but Bogut doesn't get a whole lot of playing time. Festus came off the bench and played pretty well last night. But in terms of, Bogut, he's not the player that he was. And he was never a star. For a guy who was a number 1 overall pick, he was never an NBA star. He was a solid defender. He was a solid rebounder. He's not healthy. And he doesn't get a whole lot of playing time. But, it's worth noting, though, Paul, even with the Bogut's ineffectiveness, Golden State Warriors off a loss, still perfect straight up.
Yep.
They've won those games by an average of more than 15 points per game.
Surprised at the early line for Game 3 Sunday?
No. I thought the Golden State would come as the favorite. And again, once the power rating is set for game number 1, once the betting markets are like Team A is this much better than Team B, it doesn't change that much over the course of a series. Here we saw, for game 1, we saw the Warriors 7.5, 8. For game 2, more like 8.5, 9. Then you flip the courts, you switch the 3 points for each team's home, and lo and behold, there's Golden State right where we thought they would be, -2.5, -3 on the road.
I can't wait for that game Sunday. More bad bets. I still give the Royals, I'll give them another month. I still think they can turn this around. Blue Jays, I'm done. Another bad bet. Swept at home. They've lost 5 in a row. And in the swept by the Rays, they were outscored 31-7 in this series. Another listless performance by this group.
Yeah, it felt like that fight with the Rangers took everything out of the Blue Jays. Of course, took a lot out of Texas, too. It seemed the Rangers had a pretty bad series in Oakland. But Toronto just getting annihilated at home. As you mentioned, 31-7 score over the 3 games. Worth noting, and this is something you could have given me 15 guesses, I wouldn't have guessed this right, Pauly. The Tampa Bay Rays, a team that doesn't have anyone on the roster with more than 8 home runs, they now lead the major leagues in home run. Kiermaier only hit 10 last year. He's halfway there, number 5 last night. If you look at this photo.
Excellent. Time for bad beats. This isn't a bad beat. This is a moose, and it comes from hockey. Penguins, Lightning, under. It was 1-0 in the third period. They scored 5 goals to put the thing over. You should be safe up with a 1-0 score with only 15 minutes left in the game, and then all hell broke loose.
Yeah, and of course, there were no empty netters. It wasn't even like an empty netter set it over the total. 5 legitimate goals, but that's often the danger of playing unders. It can look good, it can look great, you can be in great shape, and then not so much anymore.
Yep, another
case last night. Pauly, don't make me do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do WNBA bad beats every day all summer long. Not going to happen. Give us something else to talk about besides WNBA.
No, that's it. That will not be allowed on the show. Reds took the lead in the 9th inning with the bullpen. Guess what happened?
Yeah, exactly. You know what happened if we're bringing it up here on the show. Yeah, the Reds had a 2-run lead in the 9th. Well, another 4 runs allowed by that Cincy pen in a 12-inning loss. Tough beat if you had Cincinnati.
Yeah.
But if you've been betting Cincinnati, you're used to tough beats. Of course, the Reds once again fly over the total. All 3 games in that series have been legitimate slugfests.
How about Stanton with the golden sombrero? 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts. What's going on with this guy?
You want to talk cold? Let's talk ice cold. Since May 7th, Giancarlo Stanton, 4 of 41. He's hitting .098. That's the second worst batting average out of 197 qualified hitters over that span. It's worth noting that despite a truly ugly slump from their best slugger, the Marlins a reasonable 5-7 in those dozen games, and though they have gone 7-4-1 to the under during that span.
And now let's take this moment. Some good thoughts here by Teddy Covers. Teddy, take it away.
Some good thoughts here. I want to talk about the state of sports bit, really, because yesterday was a day I wanted to send live updates. I really did. There was some information that I came across about the Thunder Warriors total that I thought was important enough to send out to viewers. Couldn't do that. We tape early so that they can do post-production, and it still gets up in the morning Pacific time, usually around lunchtime on the East Coast. But we can't do live updates yet. We don't have the viewership numbers yet. It costs money for the technology, and the goal of this show is to attract enough viewers to get advertisers, and that's perfectly reasonable, I would think. So we're totally getting there. I mean, Pauly, I've been really impressed by the viewership numbers. We're up nearly 1,000% in 3 months, and it's friggin' baseball season.
Yeah.
I mean, the viewers are out there. You guys are watching. I really appreciate that. I'm sure Pauly does as well. In order for us to do what we like to do with this show, we got to get to 10,000 viewers by football. So here's where, we're talking football on the show every day. Here's where this has to do with football. If we can do live updates during football season, can you imagine sport bet updates throughout the day coming straight to your phone, set with whatever parameters you want so you don't get inundated? This is possible. Help us help you. You're doing a great job spreading the word about Sportsbet. Please keep it up. Remember, we're not trying to sell you anything. We're just trying to bring you a good product for free every single day and establish Sportsbet as the go-to destination for sports bettors. There's my 2 cents, Pauly. There's my rant.
Yep.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Please spread the word. Continue to spread the word. You guys have been doing a great job, and we appreciate it.
Yep, kudos there. I echo those sentiments, and expectations sky high for football. Can't wait. Up next, big game breakdown. Can the Raptors make this one interesting on Sportsbet? Betting insight today on SBRpicks.com.
Research before you bet. Be sure to check out SBR Picks for the best game predictions, breakdowns, and much more.
All right, time for big game breakdown. Live odds, sportsbookreview.com. Game 2, Eastern Conference Finals, Raptors and the Cavs. Cavs 12.5, 198 the total, minus 1,300 on the money line. Adjusted series price, minus 7,000 here in Las Vegas at the Westgate. Oh, man. So we know the Cavs are shooting it historically well from 3 in this playoffs, but they didn't need it in Game 1. They just drove right by the Raptors and had easy basket after easy basket. You look at this graphic, the inside dominance in Game 1. 2-pointers, 34 of 54. They shot 63%. Points in the paint, 56 points, and out-rebounded the Raptors by 22 in that one. More numbers, Teddy. Just how bad was it for Toronto?
Oh, my God. It was ridiculously ugly for Toronto. Look at this. All right. These are stats that are going to clearly demonstrate Cleveland's dominance in Game 1, every bit as much as the final score. Let's see. Raptors starters played 144 minutes. Yeah, they had as many rebounds combined as Richard Jefferson did in 21 minutes. And Jefferson, by the way, took more free throw attempts than Toronto starters. Let's see. Toronto starters played 144 minutes. They had 1 block, Kyrie Irving. The Cavs point guard had 2. How about this? Let's see. Toronto starters played 144 minutes. They had 1 made three-pointer. Channing Frye played 12 minutes. He had 2. You talk about that minus 7,000 series price. Oh, there's one more. I got to bring this up. Mm-hmm. Timothy Mozgov played 6 minutes. He had as many rebounds as any Toronto player. 4. Oh. So, you talk about that minus 7,000 the adjusted series price, Pauly. And, I mean, you can find books that literally have the Cavs, you have to lay 100 to win 1. Minus 6,000, you have to lay 60 to win $1. Those are not my definitions
let me jump in.
Of value, but it says what the series is going to be.
Well, I know.
Everyone knows what this series is going to be. The Raptors, they were in a daze from the start. If boxing would have had a TKO, that game would have been over in the second quarter. Now, the question is, after a game like that, Pauly, can they come out much fresher in Game 2 tonight?
Well, I know about the fatigue, and they weren't expected to win Game 1, but I don't like some of these comments about, we weren't ready, we weren't aggressive. It's like, what are you doing? What are you waiting for? I don't think it matters. I just think they're outmatched, overmatched, and outmanned, and there's nothing they can do in this series. And people say, don't overreact to Game 1. Look what Vegas is doing with the series price. Look what these shops are doing with this. Most people expect this to be a sweep, or maybe you give the gentleman's sweep where the Raptors maybe can get Game 3. But, that was just a listless performance across the board. And even DeRozan. The guy plays 34 minutes without a rebound or a steal. Impossible.
Oh, without a rebound or a steal, I didn't see any visual evidence that DeMar DeRozan actually guarded anybody either in that contest.
Oh.
So his quote, we've got to come out of the gate with that mindset, being aggressive like we usually do. I think we didn't try to do that until later in the game. Yeah, they came out flat. The short turnaround time didn't help them. Dwayne Casey, Raptors head coach. It's a different series than last series. We've got to get our minds adjusted and bodies adjusted. The speed of the game is another issue. A quicker pace, a quicker foot speed for this team versus Miami and Indiana. So we've got to make that adjustment. But the biggest adjustment for Toronto, they played a crappy team in round 1. They played a crappy team in round 2.
Yep.
They're playing a good team in round 3. And particularly we talk about offensive efficiency. We talked about it on yesterday's show, Pauly. Miami, they couldn't shoot straight in that series. Indiana couldn't shoot straight all year. Cleveland, they can shoot straight. And I don't know that it was just Toronto not being ready for Game 1. I'm not sure they're going to be ready for Game 2 either.
Yep. Again, live odds, sportsbookreview.com. To Major League Baseball, the big series continues with the Mets and the Nationals. Mets at home, Nationals $1.25. 6.5 the total at Strasburg against Harvey. And Strasburg pitched through an injury early last season. You can throw those numbers out. Since coming back healthy, he and the Nationals have been a dominant combination. You look at this graphic, since his return August of 2015, the Nationals are 16-2, plus 59 in run differential. He's got a 2.37 ERA, 157 strikeouts, only 88 hits allowed. But with Harvey, this season's been a headache from the get-go.
No, it sure has. But I just want to point out that one number from Strasburg that just stands out like a sore thumb. Look at that, Pauly, from that graph. 157 strikeouts, 88 hits allowed. That's pretty dominant. Of course, the Nats are 8-0 in his 8th start this season. Harvey, not so much. And if you've been betting against Matt Harvey so far this year, you've been making money. But, the numbers show a clear drop-off. Look, the strikeouts per 9 inning, way down from last year, way down for his career. The walks per 9 innings, up from last year, up for his career. The ground ball rate down, the ERA up. The fielding independent pitching, the FIP numbers, up as well. Here's Matt Harvey's quote. It's something I've obviously done my whole life, stand on the mound and throw a baseball. And right now, it's not an easy task. I've got to keep my head down and keep focused and keep pushing to figure it out. You start overthinking pretty much everything. That's the way it kind of feels every pitch. Well, hopefully, we can get past that. Right now, I honestly think it's as much in his head as it is in his arm, Pauly. His strikeouts, his walks, and his fielding and pitching, still high quality, even though they're not as dominant as they were. But I don't like Matt Harvey's head right now. I don't like it even a little bit.
Last year, Thor was probably the number 3 guy in the rotation. Now he's number 1. It's not even close. And what Harvey's been doing this year. Rockies, Cardinals, Gray against Waka. Cardinals $1.37.5 the total. You might think this line looks low compared to where the series has been priced so far. That's because some folks can't wait to invest in Jonathan Gray, the number 3 overall pick in the 2013 draft, 1-3 with a 5.19 ERA through 14 starts. But, Teddy?
Oh, yeah. But, again, the ERA is one stat. We like the advanced metric stats. Fielding and independent pitching, which is better than ERA, well, that's a full 2 runs lower. The Sierra, another alternate ERA type statistic, also nearly 2 runs lower. This kid Gray, and again, you look at the number. St. Louis, they've been $1.80. They're $2. You're not expecting to see St. Louis in this range at home against Colorado, not with Waka on the hill. But Gray is a guy that the markets love. And remember, so far this season, 2 advanced metric stats that really stand out. A 365 BABIP, the batting average on balls in play. So he's been unlucky when the ball's been hit. When the ball's been hit within the park, they're getting hits and not fly ball and ground ball outs. The other thing he struggled with, 65% left on base percentage. That's very low. We would expect both of those numbers to improve as the season progresses. And of course, so far here in 2016, we're talking about a guy with 11.3 strikeouts per 9 innings and better than 50% ground ball rate. Those are strong indicators. He's getting, let's call them, the right kind of outs. Also worth noting, he's got a 12.2 swinging strike percentage. That's also a very good number, Paul.
Yep. Up next, the deep dive. Ian Cameron, MLB analyst, and we look to get back on track with the play of the day on SportsBit. Betting Insight today with Pauly and Teddy.
Go to SBRodds.com. Browse, compare, and shop live odds available at top online sportsbooks.
Welcome back to SportsBit. Teddy Covers here, talking now with a special guest, Ian Cameron. We're looking to talk MLB and discuss the top betting stories through the first, third of the season or so. And so far on the show, really, we've had three types of guests. We've had bookmakers, and to be honest, we're saving our chits in a lot of regards for football season when it comes to booking bookmakers on the show. You can expect to see more of them as we get towards football. We've had seasoned veterans, the guys who've been around the block for many years. We've had some young up-and-comers as well. And Ian, you're clearly not either one of the first two. Now, I've known you for years as a guy who works hard and has some interesting ideas about how to beat the books. But I got to ask a question to start my interview. Why should anyone out there have any interest in anything you have to say? Why should they give a shit?
Well, Teddy, great to be with you. And why should they give a shit? They should give a shit because, well, I've been doing this as a serious handicapper now since about 2008. Actually, I've been betting since 2005, and really those first 3 years, I was doing things the real stupid way. Parlay bets here and there. Let's take these crazy $5 parlay bets and try to turn them into thousands of bucks on a day-in, day-out basis, and you're pounding your head against the wall and getting nowhere. Well, guess what? I said I'm going to start doing this more seriously. 2008 is when that happened, and right now I've been able to win in multiple sports over the years. Documented records: NFL, college football, NBA, college basketball, hockey, CFL football, and of course Major League Baseball, which we'll be talking on the show here today. And it's pretty simple. I look for edges in terms of prices, I look for edges in terms of value, and I'm a big matchup guy. I want to break down these things to the nth degree to find the betting value that can turn us into profitable and winning sports bettors.
I appreciate that, and I think that's something our viewers will be interested in. So let's get right into it, Ian, because we don't have much time. Biggest stories of the first part of the MLB season has got to start in Chicago. Cubs and the White Sox. This is the question. Both teams have been serious moneymakers in early season play, and for all of these teams, we're going to talk about the biggest stories. Will it continue? Or is now the time to jump in and start fading them and betting the other way? Cubs and White Sox, bet on or bet against moving forward?
Yeah, we've seen actually both teams in Chicago, Teddy, come back down to earth a little bit over the last week or so. I mean, we saw the White Sox lose a tough one in extra innings last night. It will be interesting to see how they go moving forward. I'd be more, bullish on going against the White Sox than I would going against the Cubs in the near future from a bet against perspective. And the reason why is because I'm just not sure a couple of these White Sox starting pitchers can maintain the strong start that they've had. Matt Latos, to me, is on the regression warpath and a guy that I don't trust to keep up what he's done moving forward. Carlos Rodon is an absolute enigma, has the stuff to be dominant at the major league level, but at times has also been very hittable. He just hasn't been able to put things together as of yet. I love Sale. I love Quintana. Both of those guys have been dominant. White Sox have been winning, but a couple of these starting pitchers, I'm not sure they can keep it going moving forward. And the lineup to me is still a little bit spotty. Todd Frazier's had a great start. Adam Eaton's been phenomenal, but there's a lot of guys on this White Sox lineup that certainly have to be hitting better. Jose Abreu even's had a little bit of a disappointing start. The bullpen's been solid, but I'm still not sure that the White Sox are a team that's going to be able to make money for their backers moving forward on a large basis. I'm not sure. They might already be tapping into exhausting all that they can in this start to the season. I would expect at least a little bit of regression from the White Sox moving forward. The Cubs, to me, The Cubs, even though they've just below 500 actually their last few games, but they're a team where their lineup has been phenomenal. 1 through 9, everybody can punish you. I mean, the starting pitching has been very, very solid. Arrieta's been good. Hell, Jason Hamill even has been pretty good so far. John Lester's getting the job done. Kyle Hendricks has been solid lately. Even the old veteran John Lackey has pretty decent numbers so far. The bullpen has been rock solid in the first month of the season. It's an elite team, and elite teams, even though they're priced that way, Teddy, and you know this better than anyone, they're not going to get any value or any bargains going with the Chicago Cubs. But at the same time, I'm not looking to make a case day in, day out to go against the Cubs either. So in terms of a team from Chicago that's got a chance probably to regress a little bit in the near future, I'd probably look to be more betting against the White Sox than I would the Cubs.
We've got 2 minutes left here with Ian Cameron. And Ian, I've got at least 5 more teams that I want to ask you about. So we're going to have to be concise down the stretch of this interview. I'm with you on the Cubs in terms of a team that I'm not excited about fading. You don't make money betting against 100-win teams. The Cubs are going to be a 100-win team this year, just like you don't make money betting on 100-loss teams. Now, here's my question. Some of the lousy teams, the Astros, the Blue Jays, the Diamondbacks. Let's talk about some of these squads. Ian, are any of those 100-loss teams, or is Toronto, Houston, Arizona, of the 3, which one's primed to step up and start making money for their supporters?
Boy, oh boy, I'm not sure it's Houston. I mean, Dallas Keuchel has been a train wreck, just been a disaster. Colin McHugh has come back down to earth after a very strong season last year. I mean, Mike Fiers and Doug Fister, really? These guys you're going to trust to get the job done? I don't. The bullpen's really taken a step back. I'm not bullish on Houston. That's for sure. Arizona, to me, it's pretty telling that Ruby De La Rosa has been their best starting pitcher lately. I mean, it hasn't been Greinke, it hasn't been Robbie Ray, it hasn't even been Patrick Corbin. So Arizona's got some issues to me. Their bullpen's spotty. Their lineup has really been scuffling of late. Not sold on Arizona. I think Toronto, even I've got concerns with them. I mean, I think that lineup is going to get things turned around eventually at some point, but there's no doubt it's been underwhelming and disappointing to see what Toronto's done offensively. Their starting pitching's actually suffered a little bit the last few starts. Stroman's been roughed up. Happ's been roughed up. That's coming back down to earth a little bit. And their bullpen's been lousy. It's been pathetic. It's been a disaster outside of the closer, Osuna. So really, these 3 teams, Teddy, I'm making a difficult case whether I see any light at the end of the tunnel for any of them right now. But I think eventually the cream has to rise to the top with a team like Toronto. Maybe I'd favor them to bounce back a little bit more than Houston or Arizona. But it's 3 teams right now that I'm very reluctant to see a turnaround from in the near future.
So, Ian, not excited about the Blue Jays, Astros, or, of course, the Arizona Diamondbacks, 3 teams that have all been disappointments in early season play. Ian, I got a yes or no question for you. Philadelphia Phillies, are they going to come back to earth? Are they real or not? I guess that's not a yes or no. Phillies, yes or no? Buy them or sell them?
I'm selling them because I think this is just a team that you just don't all of a sudden go with the issues that they've had, a complete rebuilding job with this Phillies franchise, and all of a sudden turn things around. Give their credit to some of their starting pitching, which looks solid. Aaron Nola's been okay. Hellickson's been okay. Velasquez has some upside. But still, it's a very patchwork lineup. It's a bullpen that's shaky. And these starters, even though they're young for a reason. I don't trust them to go through a full, long baseball season without some bumps in the road. Philadelphia, I say sell them.
Ian Cameron at Bobano, Bobano, on Twitter. Thanks for your time.
Research before you bet. Be sure to check out SBR Picks for the best game predictions, breakdowns, and much more.
Nice work, Teddy. Thanks to Ian Cameron. Tomorrow, college football win totals and Brian Blessing to preview the Preakness. That's coming up tomorrow. Play of the day. Betting number 905. Back to the Nationals, $1.25 on the road. Nationals 8-0 when Strasburg starts this year. Strasburg's a bet on all the way. We ran down the numbers with Harvey earlier. Let's go with the Nationals. Money time. Play of the day. Again, betting number 905. Thanks for watching. We're back tomorrow on SportsBit. Betting Insight today on SBRPicks.com.